Welcome to Disrupting the Wealth Gap, a virtual series focused on helping people achieve and sustain financial freedom. I'm excited because this is part two, where two financial experts are going to help two students create a strategy for their money. For those of you at home, you know when people say, man, I wish I would have known more about my finances when I was younger, or if I had known that earlier, I'd be retired now. Well, that's why I'm so excited about this segment, because we have two experts who are going to talk to our students and they're going to walk them through a strategy for their money. So before I go any further, I'm going to introduce our experts. We have Lisa Lavelle. She is a Prudential financial advisor. Lisa, thank you for joining us this morning. We also have Dr. Nicole B. Simpson. She is the host of Financial Solutions with Dr. Nicole, which is a new podcast on the D-Free Podcast Network. Dr. Nicole, thank you for joining us as well.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
So before we bring on our first guest, Lisa, I wanted to ask you, how important is it for people to begin to learn about money when they're young?
I would say it's absolutely important. A lot of what people understand now as adults, or some of the challenges that we see people facing in their adult lives, could have probably been mitigated had they started just a little bit earlier. So I'm always a champion for the younger you are, the better to start. And you can even start as early as kindergarten if you know how to put aside $2.
I love that. And to build on that, Dr. Nicole, it's important to know about money, but how important is it to also have a strategy for your money?
Strategies are critical, and we actually learn as we're growing up through our adolescence, growing up, observing our families. We learn what not to do, and we pick up on the bad patterns or behavior when it comes to money. So when you can determine certain things based off of your lifestyle, having grown up, you know where you need most help. So the moment you get to the place of recognizing, I need something for me, it's a better place for you to be overall. And as Lisa stated, the sooner, the better off you'll be for the remainder of your life.
I love that. Well, our first guest today is Michael Allegro. Michael, please come join us. And Michael is a high school student who's interested in studying finance. Michael, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the great intro.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you today. So my first question for you is, can you first describe just a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to study finance when you go to college?
To start, I'm 17. I'm a senior. I go to Franklin High School in Somerset, New Jersey. Really, the reason that I'm interested in finance is just because ever since I was young, numbers have come very easily to me, and I'm good with mental math and making things click. And I think math is something I can do more drawn out, so I can look into finance as an option to use that natural skill in something practical.
I like that, Michael. I know you're going to do exceedingly well. I love it.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, you are in good hands. So I'm going to take a step back and let Lisa and Dr. Nicole take it from here.
Not a problem, Michael. It's such a pleasure to meet you again. And I did have the opportunity to learn a little bit about you from the information you provided before we started. So thank you for that. It was very thorough and insightful. I understand that you have some aspirations, as you mentioned, to become work in the finance, the banking arena. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. So as we get started talking today, one of the questions I usually like to ask is, what is the most important financial objective for you as you are here right now and thinking about your future?
The most important financial objective to me is to have $10,000 a year to pay my mother's taxes.
Right now or forever?
Forever. Like, that's the long-term goal. Right now, I just want to be able to keep myself comfortable, like be able to go out to lunch once every 2 weeks. I already bought my car, which was a big goal for me, and I just worked a lot over the summer and made that happen. And now that I'm getting more back into school, I have less time to work, which is fine because I think as long as I don't spend that much money, I don't need to be making that much money.
First of all, I want to commend you because it seems as if you already have a savings pattern and strategy just based off of the information that you provided. And so I think that that's a wonderful, objective that you have, and you recognize your natural skill set with not only numbers, but money and finances, and you've been able to correlate it overall. So I do want to take you through, the process of having worked already and beginning to save. What were you thinking originally when you began your saving strategy? Did you have a predetermined amount in your head or a set dollar amount that you were committed to? What did Michael set up for himself?
I guess at first it was competition for me. I have an older brother who gets like 9 grand a semester from Rutgers because he's on a very big scholarship, but he does not spend his money very wisely. So, as a little joke one day, I told him that I would have more money than him by the end of the semester. And I made that happen because he kept spending money and I kept making it.
And that's exactly what goals are supposed to be. They're supposed to be specific. I'm going to have X number of dollars, measurable, the total amount you wanted to save, attainable, because it's something that you had the power to do, whether it was through the part-time job you had or any extra funds you had coming in. You had, what was R? Relatable, because you knew that it was something that was more than just, it was a game and it was an incentive for you to be better than your brother. It was something that you really could relate and see yourself doing. And then T, you had a time bound on it. You said the end of the semester. So step one, achieved, making smart goals. That's very good.
Somewhere along the line, you began to think about the difference between saving and investing. As we looked at your profile, we were able to determine that you have a strategy that shows you have some level of understanding of how the market works. What are some of the things that you do to learn about not only the market itself, but where it is that you think as an investor you would fall into, the risk tolerance category?
So in general, I've been interested in stocks since I was younger. So I do like keep updated on the market. I try to just stay up in the news as much as possible. And I think finance is like intertwined in that. So as long as I'm up to date with what's going on in the country, then I'm usually up to date with what's going on in the stock market. Um, when it comes to risk tolerance, I see myself as much more of like a long-term investor. I see myself as someone who's willing to take losses and purposely buy stocks that I know are going to go down so I can short them and sit on them and then
Gosh.
make money when they rise back up.
Listen, you are probably more advanced than the average individual. And so I want to commend you in terms of that. Do you have money conversations with your peers?
It depends on who. Generally people my age, not really. My grandpa, since I've been little, he went to UPenn to get his master's, and he's been giving me like the Pennsylvania Gazette that they send him every year. And he also has like a college fund for all of the grandkids. So he makes me look through it and read it and then talk to him about it so that I'm up to date.
Lisa, that goes back to the conversation we were having about being able to expose young people to, practical aspects of overall savings and investing.
Well, absolutely. As Dr. Simpson was saying, understanding or having those types of conversations at an early age really helps to build one of the biggest things that impact our ability to really save towards our financial future. And that's just a psychological aspect of things. As you know, as you said, you dabbled with some investing and you understand stocks and things like that and stock options. I'm so impressed. You know that a lot of the times people kind of do those things with a lot of emotion involved. And the psychological aspect, having that conversation with your grandfather where he's giving you information on a regular basis, you are not the norm. But I am so happy that that is occurring for you, because you've given yourself opportunity to learn and not just act without information. And I say that from the standpoint of your willingness to go out and gain knowledge and information is awesome. I also like the fact that you're relying on the wisdom of your grandfather and other people around you that may have other things, because wisdom lets you know how to use the knowledge that you've acquired to make sound decisions. And that's the path that you already seem to be on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
I do want to ask you about your journey toward college. Being a senior in high school right now, you have a lot of decisions that you need to make, and it appears that you have had some grasp on your financial positioning now. What exactly are you looking for in terms of college recruitment as you're looking to go someplace that has a business friendly, objective?
There's a couple of factors going into that. So I want to apply not only through the Common App, but also an organization called QuestBridge. And what QuestBridge does is for like underprivileged kids, they have a match program with colleges. So you pick 12 colleges, and if you get into any of them through QuestBridge, then you go there on a full ride. And also, even if you don't get in, they usually have like very high financial incentives just applying through them in general. And if that does not work out and I don't get into that, which I think I will be able to, then I'll apply through Common App, and just Juliana and I will be looking for as many scholarships as possible.
I wanted to ask you that question, Michael, because I think it's very important. You're speaking from the lens of a young person who understands that college debt could be one of the biggest burdens that a young person coming out of college can carry. And you've taken very seriously going into college, your financial future, to ensure that you have the greatest opportunity for financial freedom. And so just your process of, determining where it is that you want to go is very helpful to other individuals that may be seniors like you or other individuals in high school. And I wanted to commend you for that, because people will hear the message that you're saying, the fact that you identified Juliana as a mentor, you're identifying critical steps that are necessary for individuals who are looking to attain some level of financial stability or financial freedom.
You had laid out in the information you provided, you wanted to go to NYU. You have a plan for what you want to study. You know the industry you want to get into. In addition to looking at the opportunities for funds to get at, funds to attend college, had you looked into what that overall cost would be? And if so, what did you use to get that information?
Specifically with NYU, I do know a few people who go there from Franklin, so I understand that it's a very expensive school. But I also have been able to recognize, just in general, through having older brothers, knowing a lot of people who go to college, knowing a lot of different situations that I've asked about, that it is very possible to get financial coverage no matter where you go. I know people who go to Duke and don't pay any money. I have an older brother who goes to Rutgers and doesn't pay any money. And then my other brother decided to go to community college because he didn't want to pay any money. So I think in general, I've had good influences in that regard. I've been lucky. And I've had a lot of people to talk to who have set me on the right path in that sense.
That's awesome. As somebody that attended college undergrad with no money, I understand that passion and that drive. So my hat's off to you again. Like you mentioned, dollar-wise, going to college is a big step. I am glad that you understand that community college is an option, because as the saying goes, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And community college is one of the best opportunities to at least attend college and take care of some of the basics of college. Like, for example, you're in high school, everybody has to take gym or physical education. But physical education is not the field you necessarily want to get into, but it is a requirement for you to come out. The opportunity that the county colleges provide gives you the opportunity to take care of the basics, the basic English, math, history, those things that are not necessarily specifically related to the field you wish to endeavor into. And the fact that you've already had conversations around that as an alternative just to get you started is just absolutely commendable. So again, my hat's off to you on that.
So Michael, our job is to give you or to help guide you with a strategy so that you can create a pathway toward financial freedom, as you continue to get older. As we indicated, we believe the earlier that you start, the better off you'll be. I first want to commend you. You've done a phenomenal job in terms of leveraging, work balance, in terms of schooling as well. So if I had to give you any guidance or advice, because of the level of understanding that you have and the relationship, knowing that you've had 529 plans and your level of sophistication, there are a few things that I just want to encourage you to continue to do. The first thing is to continue to look out for all of the scholarship opportunities and ensure that the best strategy is the least output of cash or resources as you look to attain your college designation. That is very important for you to be able to do that. The second thing is that as you continue to work, regardless of where you're standing in terms of how many hours that you put in, be consistent in your savings, be consistent in how much you allocate, whether you determine that you want to utilize a long-term, a percentage, a high percentage or a low percentage, but just continue to pay yourself in that regard and accumulate wealth in that regard. One thing that we did not touch on, but college is very notorious for it, be careful not to accumulate or acquire any level of debt. Credit card debt can be so tempting. The colleges will put out things with your alma mater on it and say, sure, you can have this, just sign up for this particular credit card. So I want to tell you immediately to shy away from, acquiring or accumulating any level of debt. And then most important, because of how young you are and how responsible you've already been, remember to have fun in college. Not too much fun financially where you're irresponsible with your investing, but I think that you have a great, head on your shoulder as it comes to finances. And so simply stay the course and continue to set those achievable goals. Lisa, anything you want to add to that?
Oh, just a few things, Michael, as you consider your overall financial objectives as you progress through life and you mature. One of the things that, you talked about savings. There are 4 different cornerstones that you really need to consider when you start thinking about your overall financial life. And the cash management and liabilities, you've already started that. You've already employed a savings plan. And as Dr. Nicole just mentioned, if you're able to consistently add to that, that's going to prove so positive for you in the long haul. You mentioned that the other cornerstone that you would have to consider would be things relating to protection of your life and your ability to earn income, because all the great costs, all the great things that you want to do will mean nothing if you're not there or if you're not able to actually bring in that money. So you want to make sure that you're putting things in place as you mature and as you get closer to work life and things like that. Your ability to earn income is tantamount. The other area deals with investments. You've already talked about understanding stock options and things like that. The information you provided to us ahead of time indicated that you're somewhere between moderate and aggressive, which for someone at your age with such a long runway before retirement in front of you, that's pretty much about where you need to be. So you understand from that level what kind of things you'd be interested in or what kind of constraints you would have when it comes to investments. And that's a good thing. And then the final one usually is always considering the thing that likes to grab all the money you save, taxation and such. So you want to make sure that while you're doing all those other things, planning and saving, that you're not forgetting or ignoring one of those major cornerstones. Why? Because as you know, with the foundation of anything, if the foundation falls, everything else will crumble. And that's not what you're doing. That make sense?
Yep. Thank you so much.
Good. Any final thoughts you may have, Michael?
I don't have anything specific. I just want to say thank you guys so much for reviewing everything and helping me. This has been a very informative session.
Listen, I anticipate that you will definitely achieve your objectives of being financially free at every stage of your life. So we wish you well in your endeavors.
Outstanding. And I want to say what, Dr. Nicole and Lisa mentioned, you really are going to do an amazing job. And I wish you all of the best going forward as you complete your senior year and as you walk into college.
Thank you.
You are welcome. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. So next, I'm going to bring out our second guest. Her name is Damani Shelley, and she is a third-year college student at Rutgers. Hello, Damani. How are you?
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Good.
morning.
How are you?
We are doing very well, thank you. So Damani, before I leave you in the best hands with Lisa and Dr. Nicole, I just want to ask you, first, can you share a little bit about yourself and what you're studying in school?
Okay, so right now I attend Rutgers University, New Brunswick, and I am a declared biological science major. I plan on going into the medical field with that, so obtaining either a master's degree or a doctorate to become an MD. So between those two paths I'm at right now. I'm interested in that field, I guess, to say that, I love science. I think those are my strong suits, but not only do I love science and like research, but I'm also very a people person, and I always want to take care of people, and I always want, the world of medicine. I want to know how that's upgrading every day. And I feel like in college you have to do what you love to ultimately, succeed, which is why I thought this might be the best way for me. Yeah.
I love that. You're going to do great. And one other thing I wanted to mention from your profile, you added that you have a passion for design, which I find amazing. So you'd like to not only do medicine, but also on the side, do your passion, or your second passion, if you'd like to call it that. So I'm sure that Lisa and Dr. Nicole will walk you through that, how you can do both and excel, but you're going to do great. So I will leave you all. Thank you again for joining us.
Hi, Damani, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am so well. I'm so glad and excited to talk to you today. I enjoyed myself reading your profile. I love it. You're at opposite end, the right brain and the left brain, the doctor and the hard science and the interior design. I love it. And it tells me that you are somebody that's interested in multiple income streams.
Definitely. That's like my biggest thing, multiple streams of income, and also like being able to do everything that I'm interested in, like not just settling in one thing and necessarily being like not the happiest that I could be.
So it sounds like following your passion is important to you.
100%.
Okay. One of the things that I really enjoyed and I'm going to commend you for is you've kind of laid out the whole life from like now to retirement. I was like, go ahead, retire at 40. Side note, how old are you?
I'm 20.
Every 20-year-old I know wants to retire before 40. Am I right, Dr. Nicole?
Something like that, Lisa. We are still working.
It's still working.
It's possible. It is possible. Go ahead.
It is quite possible. And you're at the right age to start. So talk to me about some of the learned things, the things that you knew coming up as a child as it relates to financial life. What were some of the things that you heard of hearing and kind of instituting the way you operate now?
So my mom always told me like, you have to save money. You have to put money aside for yourself after you gain money, no matter whether it's $20 or it's $100. Figure out, how much you're going to put aside for yourself at the end of the day. So I always heard that. I always heard saving is important from everybody. So I'm a big I'm pretty good at saving. Like I'll definitely do it now. Like I don't have problems making a goal and reaching that goal. What else? Financially, it was just be smart with your money. Don't just waste your money. So that goes into like saving your money, and gaining money. And how do you take $20 and turn it to $100 or things like that? Investing in stocks, putting your money in bank accounts that accumulate interest. And so yeah, those are kind of some of the few things that I was hearing.
So there's a few things, Lisa, and just that I saw in Damani's profile that Damani, I wanted to inquire of you about. First of all, you did something that I think is commendable. If money isn't an issue, what would you do with your life? And you have incorporated happiness into, just the totality of living. And I think that that's important. I also think that you've been able to identify how to monetize your passion and create those multiple streams of income. And those are to be commended. Even in your language now, one of the things that I've identified is that while you have heard about savings, I'm not sure if profits translated over to the total aspect of savings and investing. And so I shared this question with you just prior to, and hopefully you've been able to think about it relative to your philosophy with money. You appear to be extraordinarily conservative in your savings and investing. And so I'm curious to know, as you identified a few minutes earlier, be smart with your money, but what does that look like for Damani? What does be smart with your money look like, so that we can see where it is that we might be able to guide you? Because that's what financial planners do, especially when someone is starting off as young as you are.
I guess in my 20-year-old time frame, be smart with my money. In my 20s is like, don't just, because at this point I'm in college, I work, I make money. Yeah, it would be nice to just spend it on clothes and spend it on short-term things that I use once and don't use again. So it's really like, where should my money be going? And like, how do I always have money? I feel like I work, I shouldn't have $0 in my bank account. And later in life, as far as be smart with my money, like I can't really know, because I don't know where I'll be necessarily. So I don't know what my lifestyle consists of and how to navigate being smart with my money as far as then. But now it's really like just not having money. I'm very like, I guess that I think a big thing for me is that like coming from a single family home and like not necessarily having it all, my biggest goal is to have it all. Now I think that's where the conservative side of me comes from, like wanting to have like, instead of like being so moderate to aggressive and like taking those losses or things like that.
So let me jump in, and then I'll let Lisa, you piggyback off of what it is I'm going to say. As financial planners, one of the things that we know to be a part of our responsibility is to educate as well. And so I think that, for someone as young as you are, one of the explorations, and this is for all young people to understand, if I can take you back just for a moment, when you used to go to the store for your mom, and you have to pick up a few items from the store, right? And so you would buy bread, eggs, milk, and cheese, right? And so that $20 might have been enough to purchase those basic products. And then 5 years later, now that you're buying bread, eggs, milk, and cheese for yourself, you're realizing that $20 is not stretching as far as you would have thought that it was when you were younger. And so in its very simplest form, there's inflation. So, just saving money without any, commitment to the investments or allowing your money to work for you, can oftentimes at an early age serve as a disadvantage when someone is extraordinarily conservative as you are. And so I think this is a perfect opportunity, to introduce you to, just understanding the whole concept of savings and investing. And so, Lisa, do you want to add to that? I can continue to go on for further explanation, but I think this is perfect because, Damani has the commitment to saving.
She does.
And so how do we make her financially free? That's what we got, you're on your way, but we need to make you financially free. And so there are, ways of ensuring that you're allowing your money to be put to the best use, certain portions of it at least. Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off Dr. Nicole's statement on risk tolerance, your profile stated that you were more conservative than anything else. And as I looked at it, I wondered, was it conservative because you thought you needed that money now as opposed to in the future? And when I looked at one of the questions you answered, you said that your horizon for receiving this money or having that accumulation was 1 to 3 years. And I thought maybe that's because we need to give a little bit more education around what that meant. So just giving you a form fill out, that's one thing. But to explain and understand what it means to have a time horizon, I'll give you the example you gave us. You want to retire at 40 years. That's 20 years and at 40 years old. That's 20 years from now, not unattainable. You could definitely do that, but you realize that there's some specific things you have to do to get what retirement means. First step, you have to identify what retirement is. Does it mean that I'm not working full time? So that income I was getting as a physician's assistant, that might go away. Or maybe I decide to be a doctor, and only run a practice and I only see patients once a week, whatever that looks like for you. What you're saying though is not I'm going to go walk off into the sunset and do nothing, unless that's what you're saying. But what you're saying is really like financial freedom gives you the opportunity to decide if you want to work, how you want to work, and when you want to work. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is where we would have to, really start to hone in on that picture. And I understand you are in college, you're 20 years, the whole world's in front of you. This is your time. But when it comes to future goals, you still kind of have to hone it in. You have different areas that you'd like to live in. So one was California, right? But the rest, I think, were on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
You got the coast, you got the left coast and the right coast. Pick whichever one you want. but there are disparities in a home and living out in California or living in New Jersey or New York. Even New Jersey to New York has big disparities in what a 3-bedroom house would look like. You're talking about
in-ground pool with an in-ground pool.
With an in-ground pool. And invite me over for the housewarming.
The point we're making, Damani, is that your goals are definitely achievable, and you have an objective of doing and earning at least 80,000 to 120,000 a year. And so, in terms of doing that, the responsibility that we would have is to show you how important it is for investments and protection to be added to your overall objective. And so some of it, I believe, is based off of, not knowing exactly the benefit of investing. That would be the first thing. The second aspect is that you are, committed to, as it seems, the multiple streams of income. And so you actually have something that can assist you in acquiring or accumulation of wealth. As Lisa indicated, that there's got to be some resources in 20 years that you are acquiring so that that income from the age of 40 until you die. Now, I tell my clients, tell me when you're going to die, and I'll tell you how much money you need down to the penny. But since we don't have that information, right, your accumulation over a certain period of time has got to be extraordinarily aggressive. So you have a conservative investment portfolio, but an aggressive savings strategy. And so, again, we will both say it's attainable because you can be a designer to the stars and serve people and create the $80,000 to $120,000 income. But our job is always to put it into financial context. That maybe you may not get to the age of retirement at the age of 40, but these are some steps that can help us to see, and then we measure it along the way. And so with you specifically being a junior in college already, I really would like for us to just continue to cultivate your emotional connection with money, the relationship that you've had and how you believe money is supposed to work for you. And if you were a new client, as young as you are, this is an area that both Lisa and I would think takes and requires time to be spent with you so that you got to a comfort level to create a total financial plan, because you have pieces of it that can help you achieve the goal, but you have some that are heavily weighted and some that need a little more attention. You want to add to that, Lisa?
Definitely, continue, doing what you're doing as you start thinking about putting your plan together for your future. Don't make it a hit it and quit it type of thing. It's long term. You want to keep it in front of you. You want to continue looking at it and track your progress. Dr. Nicole alluded to being realistic with your goals. It's part of that SMART goal process, so make sure that these are things that you can achieve, that's attainable and everything else. But you're on the right track. When you get to the point that you start earning income, or as you start looking to towards that first job as a whether it's the physician assistant or the doctor. Being smart with your money continues. It doesn't mean just because you're making six figures, you can go buy a six-figure car. So this is how you just kind of keep yourself grounded, but having those goals in front of you is absolutely important. And you have to watch them and continue to monitor them as you progress through your adulthood. Okay.
So one of the things, Damani, that we're supposed to do is just help give you some level of guidance. The first thing that I would suggest to you is that you find someone to work with in order to craft your plan. Someone that may be able to hold your hand to help you achieve the goals, because you have different areas in which you are working toward, and someone with more experience in that particular area will assist you in that regard. So there's some things that you should continue to cultivate. Finish school and keep doing what you're doing in terms of your pursuit, so that you can get the stable income that you're seeking between $80,000 and $120,000 a year. I would also work with someone that might be able to help craft that business idea, cultivate it, that even if it's not generating additional income for you, the tax incentives that are available to a small business owner with a home-based business will be so advantageous and help you to get along the pathway in which you're looking to go along. The third thing that I would consider doing if I were you is just ensuring that you're working with someone to learn about investing for the long term. We all ought to have some level of goals, whether it be short-term, intermediate term, and long-term. Right now, you're looking from a short-term lens, but you want to, in the long-term, retire. And so there's got to be some level of comfortability to you, becoming familiar with other forms or areas of investment. And then the final thing is there is got to be a protection of who it is that you are and what it is that you're looking to do. And so you won't be able to do a lot of that on your own, even as young as you are, because you have aspirations and you already have the discipline to save. You would bode well in working with someone who's willing to help you achieve all of the things that you've outlined. I think that you have the ability to do it. I would tell you, you probably may not be able to retire at the age of 40 if you stick along the plan that you have, but working with someone and being fantabulous at what you do, all things are possible. I wish you well in that. Lisa, you want to add anything to that?
Only that, as you continue to follow your passion and your dreams, just again, make sure that whomever you work with understands all that is you, understand where it is you want to go, and create those scenarios for you so that you're working towards something as opposed to being very general and very broad. That's the purpose of planning. Doesn't mean you can't adjust it later on, because you may go down a path and realize, nope, not for me. Maybe this is for me and I want to add, but working with the planner will help you definitely understand, how to get to your final goal. And I commend you. You are a beautiful young woman. Continue to do what you're doing. Dream big, follow your passion, but stay grounded.
Any final thoughts on your part? Any questions that you may have?
So who, as far as is that would you say a financial advisor is who I would speak with, like my person, or is this someone that I know, a family member?
Funny you should say that, because Prudential, offers opportunities to sit down with individuals just like you. You want someone that has financial planning knowledge. Right. Overall. So it can be a financial advisor, it can be someone, that, is well-versed in all areas of comprehensive planning, but that's the direction that I would go in, but I would seek the services of a professional.
Thank you, all of you, Lisa, Dr. Nicole, and Damani. Thank you very much. Damani, I'm just so excited for what is in store for you in the future. I know you're really going to do exceedingly well, both in your career and financially. So best of luck to you with absolutely everything.
Thank you, Britt.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And Dr. Nicole, you made a great point. We definitely have information for people in regards to financial planners. So that information is in the chat. So we will connect people if they'd like to talk to a financial advisor through Prudential. And before we close, I want to just ask you, Dr. Nicole, as well as Lisa, are there any additional things that you wanted to add as your words of wisdom for people before they go, whether it's about student loans or whether it's about apps, anything you wanted to add?
So I simply would say this. I think it's very important to take advantage of learning what comprehensive planning is all about. The younger you are, the sooner you get started, the easier it becomes because time is on your side. The one thing that I think is also critically important is work your passion. You may have to work a 9 to 5 or a traditional job. That's wonderful, but look and see, what brings you joy, inner peace, because working your passion as well can be a conduit to financial freedom that you would have never experienced before. And if you don't explore it accordingly, you will never be able to take advantage of all of the things that it can provide for you, in addition to peace, but finances as well. So those are the individuals that I would commend, or recommend to individuals. As far as, learning and the tools, as you indicated, many young people in today's day and age, they're finding their information out through social media or what have you. It's good for informational purposes, but make sure that the entities that you're going to are credible, but always work with someone. If you're serious about your money, you ought to have someone that has been serious about their career choice and that they can guide you and ensure that the information that you're reading and retaining is accurate information and applicable to your personal situation. That's what's most important.
That's perfect. Thank you. Lisa?
I would just echo, as I mentioned before, to both Michael and Damani, is that one, any goals that you have in life, make them smart, make them specific, measurable, attainable, relatable, and time bound. That's your start. You're working with a planner, be able to act, and once you have smart goals, then you'll be able to efficiently communicate that to anyone that you're working with to help you along that road towards your success, or whatever success means for you or financial freedom means for you. The other part is, again, to echo what Dr. Nicole said regarding information. There's a world of stuff on the internet, like she said, but all of that is just knowledge and it's information. The only way that you're going to be able to make sound decisions is through wisdom. And wisdom comes from working with somebody that's already been where you're aspiring to go or has the keys to put together that plan for you. That's where the value comes, from working with a financial advisor. So please, whatever you do, continue to bring your dream to delivery, do what's necessary for you, get all the education that you can, and don't give up on your passions.
I love that from both of you. And I think one last question that I have before we close is, so often people think in order to speak to a financial advisor, they need to have a lot of money. But what you're really saying is come wherever you are and start there, right?
There is a mantra that I have that financial planning should be accessible to everyone. And there are different people, structure their costs and their fees differently. Look for somebody that speaks to managing things specifically for you, and not necessarily just putting you into a cookie cutter. Oh, you're a single person, it's $1 million. I'm exaggerating, but your plan's going to cost you $50,000 or whatever. Stay away from the cookie cutter things, because you're not a cookie. You might be cute and sweet, but you're not a cookie. You want somebody that's going to speak to who you are, where you are, with the income you are, because all you need to do is start from where you are and go on from there.
I would say that there are a myriad of planners out there. There are some that do have, minimum requirements, and so that may be overwhelming or intimidating, but there are individuals that will give you their undivided attention and the care that you need that don't have it. So you have to put in the research to find someone that will take you into consideration. Interview several individuals. It's okay. And find someone that you are comfortable with. Create a list of questions that are important and personal to you and see how they respond. And then, one of the things that I think is the absolute best is to ask people that are around you. I have this mantra: Lisa, that says, if you and your friends are not talking about money, you need new friends. And so there are friends that may have already identified, a professional that they've been working with to achieve their level of goals. And if they, if all of you have not, then all of you search together and have someone that will come in and coach you collectively, to find and achieve what it is that you want to do, especially as young people. Make the commitment that we're going to make a pact. We're going to be financially free together, and search out someone that all of you can hold accountable. And you'd be amazed at the level of response that you will get from those individuals with the experience and expertise as professionals to help you achieve your financial goals.
I love that. We're not going to go on this journey alone. We're going to bring our family and our friends with us. Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you both. I mean, this has been amazing, and it has just been beautiful to watch all of you discuss finances and really help these young people, because I know they're going to do great in this world, great things in this world. So thank you both.
God bless you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, coming up next, we have another Prudential financial professional. Tiffany Allen is going to share some additional financial tips.
All right, thank you so much. Again, my name is Tiffany Allen, and today I'm going to share with you some of Tiffany's tips. It's so important to make wise financial decisions, especially when you're young, because the choices you make today, they matter tomorrow. Bad financial decisions can take you years to recover from. So developing good financial habits when you are young usually will mean you'll carry those good habits into your adult life. So I have a couple tips I'm going to share today. Again, Tiffany's tips. This will help you develop good discipline around your money. And they're very simple rules, meaning dollars going out need to be less than dollars coming in. Very simple. When you learn this rule early on, it becomes part of your core values, and you should be less likely to make choices that will derail your financial strategy. Taking on too much debt at a young age can affect you for years, even decades. Being saddled with consumer debt or credit card debt or student loan debt will leave you paying high interest rates over time. So I am all about keeping it simple. Don't buy things that don't make a positive long-term impact on your life. Living below your means should certainly be the goal. That being said, don't buy things to impress people who don't matter when you can't afford them. Don't even buy things to impress people that do matter. Think of it like this. If you can't afford to buy it in full, don't buy it. Debt can really destroy your life. Instead, prioritize savings. If you need to put it on a credit card, make sure you pay that credit card off at the end of the month when it's due. So how can someone access how much debt they can take on? Knowing that a dollar is better, knowing that a dollar saved is better than a dollar spent, and a dollar invested even has more potential. So there is good debt. So I want to make sure that you understand a mortgage or a business opportunity. Those are considered things that would be classified as good debt. So that being said, let's look at the numbers. A good rule of thumb is the 28-36 rule. So this means that no more than 28% of your gross income is spent on your home-related expenses like rent or mortgage, your homeowner's insurance, taxes. And all of your debt should not exceed 36%. That's the 28-36 rule. So that's the debt to income ratio we should all be striving for. Now, honestly, there are going to be times when that ratio is a little off, but it's so important to keep that number, that total debt, under 43%. That's typically the max that you don't want to exceed. And that's based on your gross income. And anything other than that is going to drive a low credit score that impacts your ability to get low rates on a loan, and paying higher interest rates over time will certainly have a negative effect on your cash flow, and then ultimately have a negative effect on your credit, which ultimately could have an effect on what type of job you get. So all of this ties in together. And so young people need to certainly know this, because again, the decisions you make today, they matter tomorrow. So it's so important to invest wisely. It's so important to prioritize savings, and knowing that debt to income ratio is something that I think is very important. So don't be scared of it, just be disciplined around it.
Thank you very much, Tiffany, for all of your tips today. They were absolutely wonderful. I think my favorite one is you letting people know, do not spend money to impress others. I love that. For anyone who is watching and you're saying, you know what, I need to speak to a financial advisor. I'd like to get my finances in order. I'd like to have a strategy for my money. We have information for you about how to reach out to a prudential financial advisor. The information is in the chat for you. It's also available on dfree.com as well. And we want to let you know, as the experts explained today, if you're thinking, do I have enough money in my bank account in order to even talk to a financial advisor? The answer is yes. You can talk to someone wherever you are. That's the key about this. You can talk to someone and they'll meet you right wherever you are, because the goal is for everyone to achieve and sustain financial freedom. So once again, thank you all for joining us. This concludes part 2 of the Disrupting the Wealth Gap virtual series.